Hello, future designers. Welcome to Design Dialogues by Mu.S.Ex, where we are exploring architectural careers in futurist India and shifting design perspectives. Today on this episode of Architectural Journalism, we have with us architect Rajesh Advani, sir. Welcome to Design Dialogues, sir.
Thank you.
His vision is fueled by two platforms he created, Architectural Life and Unbuilt Ideas. Through Architectural Life, he creates this vibrant space where architects, interior designers, and stakeholders of the industry come together to spark meaningful conversations, share, and connect. At Unbuilt Ideas, he leads conversations around rarely discussed topics, thereby pushing the boundaries of architectural discourse. His dedication to making architectural information accessible is visible in his work. From engaging in academia to working with institutions and Council of Architecture and collaborating with several design professionals across the country, he has fostered a solid understanding of built environment and consequently created numerous dialogues around it. Such is the journey of our remarkable guest. We will not only dive into the career of architectural journalism, but also explore his dedication towards education and explore his entrepreneurial path. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you, Devika.
I hope the introduction did justice to your journey.
Perfect.
It's lovely to have you, sir. It's such a good time to be discussing about
My
architectural
pleasure,
journalism.
my honor. It's my honor to be here.
I would love to hear more about you from your journey.
So, right now I am doing Architecture Live and Unbuilt Ideas. And Architecture Live started with a vision to, make architectural information accessible to everyone. When I say everyone, I felt that whatever we talk about architecture, it mostly remains within architecture fraternity, and all the content that is being created is by architects for architects and written in a language that only architects understand, and that doesn't really do any justice to architecture profession, and possibly that's also the reason you would see a big disconnect and all the challenges and issues that the profession is facing these days. So this platform Architecture Live started with a vision or a mission to make architectural information accessible to everyone. Further, to create a democratic platform where not just very well-known practices, even younger practices and other people who wanted to participate in this discourse can come and start publishing, sharing their stories and engage in dialogue with architects and non-architects.
That's very interesting, sir. But how did this journey happen? How did the shift from mainstream architecture to architectural journalism happen? What were the pivotal moments? What kind of challenges did you find yourself facing?
As a part of my work in, I think, 2007, I got an opportunity to travel across India and interact with architects. And I realized that a lot of meaningful work was happening in different pockets of India, which was not getting covered in magazines at that point. Magazines were only covering certain kind of architecture and some practices, some kinds of practices. And I thought internet was a very strong tool and very resourceful medium to bring all this information together on one platform from different parts of country. So I started with actually a very small group on Orkut in 2007, I remember, which remained there for some time. And slowly we came out of Orkut and started with Facebook, and Architecture Live was registered. And here we are today with Architecture Live, not just publishing works, but also taking up lots of issues around architecture and urbanism.
That's amazing. That's very interesting, sir. So the predominant focus for you, it seems like, that has been opening up architectural information to all.
Yeah.
But would you say that that is the case for most of these forums in architectural journalism space? Because a lot of discussions, a lot of events, a lot of meetups, they happen around moments, or they are curated in a way where a lot of discussion remains constrained from the architects to the architects by the architects. And do you think architectural journalism by and large is beginning to bypass that, is beginning to, cut through that and enter into a space where we can introduce it to a wider audience?
Yeah. So architecture is being discussed in mainstream media, in number of newspapers in India. But again, I still feel the language, the vocabulary which is being used is not something which will connect with people at large. Now, on Architecture Live, what we have started doing is we have started inviting non-architects to write and talk about architecture in a language which they are comfortable with, and we hope that that language is also, very accessible to people at large and outside architecture fraternity. I think it will take more time now that we have started realizing that we architects cannot continue with this discussion which remains only within architecture fraternity. We need to go out, talk about what architects do, what architecture profession can contribute to the built environment, and this is only possible when we change our language and vocabulary that we use to communicate with common people or people at large.
Do you think you can cite a particular example where you saw that happening through your efforts, where you could connect with a layman or connect with people beyond the field of architecture?
So I would not call it still layman. I'm giving you an example. A lot of discussion was happening around IIM Ahmedabad's demolition of dormitories, and this discussion was actually coming from architectural fraternity at large mostly. We thought that we need to understand perspective of people who have used IIM Ahmedabad, whether as a student, as a faculty, or as any other user, but not architects. So we invited Rashmi Bansal, the author of Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, to write on her experience as I am a student. So she narrated a very personal, very nice story on IIM Ahmedabad, using the space. Then she also brought architectural perspective within that story. Now, because Rashmi was doing this was just one step we took. Her network, which was of non-architects, started discussing this issue in a language which we were actually not anticipating, or we were not ready for. So we saw this as an opportunity to create more such dialogues with non-architects.
This is talking about the impact of it on a very detailed scale. On a larger scale, we see that journalism has immense potential, and we see that potential being exploited humongously in the space of fashion journalism, where fashion industry is no longer just about the mainstream fashion, but it is being captured and celebrated through fashion journalism as well. And considering the fact that architecture is something that's also very, very particular and intricate in its own space, through the assist of journalism, through the potential of journalism, can we consider something parallel built for architectural journalism space? Can we really tap into the economic potential of architectural journalism, similar to how fashion journalism is massively, beautifully been able to do?
So unfortunately, architectural journalism, I'm talking to a lot of other media people who are into this architectural journalism, or I'll call it media business. Everyone has one complaint about financial sustainability at this point, which is okay. I think this would change. But now that you are talking about fashion journalism, roti, kapda and makan. So kapda and makan are among two basic necessities. So kapda is fashion, makan is architecture. Fashion has taken that leap where reporting, journalism or coverage is financially sustainable, but architectural journalism still does not bring that value possibly to an extent that it can become economically viable or financially sustainable for the profession. But I have started seeing potential in this, because we are now being approached by I'm not saying advertisers, but other people who are wanting to collaborate with Architecture Live. These are not just products but also services, and possibly there we would start finding our revenues and model. I think it will take time for architecture because architects cannot advertise the way fashion designers can advertise. By law, architects are not allowed.
What do you think are other challenges that are probably slowing down the process of architectural journalism boosting to a massive scale?
I'll talk about India, but primarily this is also across globe because I'm reading and finding the same problem everywhere. In India, we are a very small community of architects who have got used to, patting each other's back, and we are happy with the validation which comes from the fraternity or small group of architects. That's not going to work. So, if like I always say that if you want to do justice to architectural journalism, the first thing you should do is unfriend architects and don't go closer to them and keep a distance. But then, of course, then there are other arguments around this statement which I also openly made. I feel that there is still the acceptance is not there for critique, meaningful critique or meaningful dialogue around architecture. Most of the reporting, most of the information about architecture that we see in the media is architects' narrative for architects, which is not going to work. So architectural journalism should take a step ahead and start creating a critical dialogue on architecture and urbanism, which we have started doing and we have started seeing results. Some people are unhappy with what we are doing, but we are happy doing what we are doing.
And talking about how you are also tapping into urbanism discussions,
Yeah.
we also see another topic which is receiving a lot of attention through architectural journalism, which is sustainability.
Yes.
There are so many discussions, so many forums, so many dialogues happening around sustainability, which is great. We need to highlight it, we need to celebrate it, we need to promote it. But do you think we should also place equal emphasis on other disciplines of architecture, around architecture? What about architectural psychology, let's say? What about platforms like Mu.S.Ex, which is promoting architectural psychology? But beyond architectural psychology, we can talk about vernacular, we can talk about set design, we can talk about biotechnology in architecture. There are so many disciplines. And how do you think involvement of a much wider set of disciplines can help in the journalism career itself? But beyond that, how would it impact the shape and the effect of it? What would be on the field at large?
So first I will talk about sustainability. I do not practice architecture, but whatever I'm reading and whatever I'm seeing on social media or anywhere in other magazines, the act of building itself is unsustainable. That is what I read somewhere. So one cannot achieve 100% sustainability, and personally I don't know what 100% sustainable means. And sustainability has number of layers. Some architects or some practices would focus on one aspect of sustainability, other practices would focus on other aspect of sustainability, which is fine because you have to also look at the context, the local context, and there is regional context and other issues with designing buildings. Other aspects apart from sustainability, I think we have started getting bored of talking sustainability now. So naturally we are going towards other aspects of architecture, whether it is talk about psychology, talk about architectural journalism that we are doing, talk about architectural documentation, reporting, so many things. So sustainability has been there, it will be there always. It is just this. I saw a time when this word sustainability was used by marketing companies a lot, even software companies.
Interesting.
So it became a marketing tool rather than actual cause.
Okay.
Which I think is okay. Now people have started and they understand now. They cannot achieve 100% sustainable building, but whatever best they can do should be done in the context. architectural psychology, architectural documentation, or other aspects like I'm also reading about very interesting dialogue now on other magazine. In other magazine I was reading, uh, people are taking up causes around architecture and urbanism, like say demolition.
Okay.
Okay, people would pick up these issues, talk about it, the discourse would happen, but I am still not sure what happens after that. Once you have written, once you have talked about it, where it goes and to what extent does it really make an impact. The day all these discussions that even we are doing will start making some impact, say even 4 or 5%, I'll be very happy with that.
Indeed, indeed. That's what we all would love to see
Yeah.
happening. But so, what has been the impact of discussions on reporting, like architectural reporting, architectural documentation? You mentioned. What has been the impact of those discussions? Let's say.
So I would like to take up one issue over here that we started and that we have been covering for years now: architectural education, internships, and profession. In 2016 or 17, we invited professionals, both senior and young professionals. We invited students, we invited academicians, we invited directors and principals of architecture colleges to understand internship issues.
Okay.
And also the disconnect. It was a very good reporting at our end, what's happening in the industry and how students are suffering. Even professionals had lots of complaints, not just attitude of students coming out of college, but also, unemployability was, very big issue. And institutes not doing anything about solving these internship issues because possibly they thought that no one is going to question it. So some institutes have started taking those steps that in fact we started seeing, they reported to us. We took all this to Council of Architecture. We invited Council of Architecture president at that time and they assured us that this issue will be looked into. But still, I feel that there are things that need to be done at Council of Architectures, and they did release one, I think notification or a letter for professionals, but this should also be for colleges, not just professionals. So we have started seeing the impact of these discussions. Second issue that we took up was architectural photography, how deceptive it is, and it does not really narrate the actual story on the site, and how architectural photographers well, I'm not getting into legalities, whether it is ethical or unethical. We did a discussion on that. Now, is photography as a tool being used for marketing of architecture in a like it's not the correct image of architecture that is being portrayed. So photography to some extent is misleading. So we got a comment from one architect. See, the photographs of food in restaurants that you see are actually not the actual of the actual food. So what's wrong with photoshopping architecture also? So it's completely fine as long as we are able to sell it.
Okay.
Okay. So this argument is still continuing and we are planning to do part 2 of this, inviting again photographers, professionals and other critiques on this platform to discuss not just photography but also portraying of architecture in media.
Correct. So it's interesting how journalism is aiding in tackling all of these issues.
Yeah.
And then it makes me wonder the importance of starting the education of architectural journalism much earlier. Like for example, speaking from my personal experience, I got to know about architectural journalism only because I had to reach out and I had to kind of, and it's okay, students should take that initiative. But can architectural journalism be included in some manner in the pedagogy itself? Can we have some sort of involvement, because it can be in the form of an elective, it can be in the form of a semester, it can be a whole subject for a whole semester, or it can be a seminar. What do you think should be the extent And do you think it should be? Is it high time we include it?
I think architecture institutes, I think this curriculum is world over, I guess, or this issue is again world over. Architecture education give a lot of stress on designing buildings only for architecture profession, but there are n number of things that uh, someone can do with studying architecture. Your B.Arch degree is not just for for people to design buildings. You can report, you can write, you can do documentation, you can do photography. I know of people who have got into model making. I know of people who are doing good podcasts. So there are so many things which can be done with that degree. Within the curriculum, it is very important, and this is very high time. I feel that it should, diversify. Maybe after third year, we should ask students what they would like to pick up as an elective when they graduate or what they want to do. It's completely fine if they don't go out and start designing buildings. It's not necessary. If students go out and start, just documenting or talking to architects or doing some kind of, research work and still find a means to, finance all these things, it works very well. So this whole notion that if you're studying architecture, you have to design buildings, I think we have to do away with this notion as soon as possible.
So it's great we are discussing these different disciplines in that sense. Then.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So students are listening to us and young professionals are listening to us. What advice would you have for them apart from the fact that, open up your brains, think beyond just designing and buildings, but by and large, what would you advise our young professionals?
I don't think I have reached a point where I can give advice, but because I am still seeking advice from many people with whatever I am doing, and this advice is coming from my well-wishers, friends, family members about how to take this architecture live and unbuilt ideas forward. But I can only say one thing. Try as many things as possible. Like, it is out of 10 things you do, you'll be successful at 2 things. And you find meaning in that, take those 2 things forward, and I'm sure that something will work out. And there's nothing wrong with changing your decision midway. It's completely fine to just give up something and start something new. I have done that and I don't regret it.
Awesome. So that's one great piece of advice.
Yeah.
And to you, my final question, sir, would be, what impact do you wish to see on the world through your work?
I would be very happy if people at large, if I go on streets and I just ask one question, do you know what architects do? And people are able to answer that, I think I'm very happy with, then I'll be very happy with what I'm doing. It's a big challenge, but that is what one should, aspire for.
Interesting. And if you don't mind me asking, what would an answer to that would be that would make you happy?
Yeah, so I at least, even if they are not able to answer it, even if they just know there is a profession of architects or architecture, it would be a success to begin with. Best would be, why should they go to architects? They should realize that, I know architecture profession is still inaccessible for people at large. Only 4 or 5% of population in India, avails these services of architects. If these people, they say that they know what architects do and how they can change or bring meaning to the built environment, and they can add value to the built environment, I think then I'll be very happy that yes, we have spread the word about architecture profession among people.
That's one great mission to have, sir.
Yeah, very difficult, but we'll definitely try to do that. We have started getting a lot of comments from non-architects on Architecture Live. Very recently published project. I am not getting into the details of the project. It saw more comments from non-architects than architects, to an extent that architect got some leads or inquiries from other people to also design for them.
That's great.
What else one would
What
want?
else? Awesome, sir. Thank you so much for those lovely set of insights.
Yeah.
I am very, very interested to understand how our students take these insights ahead and experiment, explore, try on multiple things, give up and start again and do it all over again and keep going. So thank you so much for these wonderful sets of insights and for your time. It was great to have you, sir. And stay tuned for the next episode. And this is Design Dialogues by Mu.S.Ex. Stay tuned, stay happy, stay smiling.